This confrontation can cancel your career.
Canceled.
Canceled. Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Cancel
Culture.
podcast.
Welcome to Cancel Culture, the podcast writers' room where a diverse group of Gen Z femme comedian writers write a funny, unoffensive joke about a topic that most might consider a no-fly zone in comedy that even an old, white, cis male dude, aka my dad, can tell without getting canceled. Today's topic, jokes about abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah! That's right. We're going to write a joke about abortion that a white cis man without a uterus can tell without sounding like an asshole. Why? To
show it is possible.
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah,
You hear
yeah.
a bass? Yeah. To
Yeah,
show
Just
show
show
it
it
is
is possible. Kill possible.
it's
Okay.
possible.
So we're going to go around and take a little poll, see if people think that we can tell unoffensive joke about abortion that maybe like multiple sides of the aisle can laugh about. I don't know if it's possible. We'll see. I'm Jamie, and they actually tried to abort me, but I fought back. So that's why I'm here. And I think that we can do it. I think we can write a joke about abortion.
Man. Well, hi, I'm Elena. My favorite hobby is playing For the Girls, which is the best drinking game ever. You all should be For the Girls. And hell yeah, brother, I think we can write abortion jokes.
Hey everybody. So I'm Heck, and I also think we can definitely write a funny abortion joke. And if I was in a band, I'd rather be like the hot bassist instead of the lead singer, even though I don't know how to play the bass.
I'm Sarah. I'm giving Bridgerton today and always. And I think, of course, we can tell a funny abortion joke.
Amazing.
If not us, then who?
If not us,
Then who?
Then who?
And if not now, then when?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preach. Wow.
And if not when, then why? All right. And
And if not
lastly,
why, then yeah, sorry, go ahead.
then have you ever had a dream when you? And
You had a dream
lastly,
if you could.
thank you.
Yeah, Evan, go ahead. Say
And
hello.
lastly, and leastly, I mean, we don't have to hear from him. Paying for abortion since the 90s. Any thoughts, Evan?
And more than that, no.
Great.
Okay. All right. So we have a bad joke. I want to preface all of the jokes today. I feel like because of this topic, I think it's easy to make jokes that one side will find funny and the other won't, because we're all obviously like coming at it from the same side, unless there's any closeted anti-choicers in the room. But I think that it's hard for us to find abortion jokes offensive, because I don't think abortion is bad. So
That's why I was intrigued by the challenge as well of writing a joke
same.
that was, if anything, pro-life.
right. Or like
that makes sense.
that
Like
can appeal to
switching it
both
around the opposite.
sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the challenge here.
this
Is like
is
an
the
opposite
challenge.
challenge.
Yeah.
It's not
a-
being offensive. It's like trying to find a new way to approach it.
Yeah. I mean, Evan's so relaxed about it that he's eating. So, he doesn't give a single fuck.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Something about abortion got you hungry?
Weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
Weird.
Weird.
All right.
Always.
So let's go to Andrew Shultz and see his little joke.
Abortion. Yeah. Guys, I don't know if you noticed, but in the States, they're getting rid of that abortion, man. They're coming for it. People do not like abortion. I was talking to this guy, very anti-abortion. I'm like, bro, just explain it to me, man, why you hate abortion so much. And he goes, because it's killing a baby. I was like, dude, it's not even a baby yet, He goes, yeah, but if you leave it there, it's gonna grow into a baby. So it's a baby. And I was like, you know what? Pedophiles got to use that logic. That's good.
Audience took a sec.
Yeah, tentative clapping.
Yeah, she's a teen now, Your Honor. But if you leave her there, she's gonna grow into an adult. So she's an adult. Am I a pedophile or pro-life? You decide. Classic thing.
I think the audience was still unsure at the end.
I know, they're like,
They were like, yeah.
Here's where the joke falls apart for me. I think in order for it to work, just following its own structure, he says, oh, that's good, like as if that's good logic, but it's not. It doesn't, like, the point of that the character makes of, well, it's going to grow into a baby, so it is one. That's not convincing logic, even like regardless of political ideology. Maybe
that's
not.
his
Maybe
point,
someone
I
on the
thought.
opposite side.
Yeah.
Well, no, just because he was like, that's good. Oh my God, the noise that just came out of me. Just because he was like, that's good. Pedophiles got to start using that one. Even if he had used that structure, I think if it had just been a more convincing like line of logic, and not to sit here, I'm very much so pro-choice, very, very, very much so. It shouldn't be a
The heck
question. However,
hates women.
well, that's a separate issue. I do.
Yeah, sorry, I got them confused in my brain.
Yeah, that's okay. It happens.
Okay.
But I think that like if you had even chosen some of the other rhetoric that anti-choice people do that they think is convincing, but also like just logistically, analytically, like is a like it makes sense as a form of logic, then I would have even gone for the ride. But I think that it just like it wasn't well written. It wasn't like well crafted. And I think the only reason people like laughed at the end, like I feel like once they realized the politics of it, then they were like, oh, I agree with those politics, so now I'm gonna clap for the joke. But the joke wasn't good.
right.
Like I agree with the ideology, like yeah, absolutely pro-choice, like yes, but like not a good joke, just like
Right.
not super funny in
Nope.
my opinion.
I concur. Also, he paused for effect, and it was
And nobody
dead
laughed.
silent. You could hear a
Yeah.
pin drop, and that's how you know it was
That
not
is how you know.
successful. I agree with you, Mehak. I think people were clapping about the politics at the end, but also it was so hesitant. They were really, I see where you're going with this, but
Yeah,
People were not in.
I guess I'm playing my dad in this situation.
I'm
that I
with you,
think
Jamie, I think.
do I think it's the funniest fucking joke I've ever? No, I don't think it's like hilarious. I just don't think it's an issue because
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, Mac. I think it works because he's being like, obviously that's stupid logic, so I'm going to apply the same stupid logic to this other situation. That's why I thought it worked, because I think his delivery with it, maybe he didn't deliver it in the best way, but I think I think it tracks. Like I think he's being like, oh, that's good, like I'm going to use that, and then it's still stupid in the other context. And so I think that's why I thought it was okay, but I don't think it was, clearly didn't land very well because the audience didn't get it.
I don't think this is something, oh, you're canceled, you're out, you need to take accountability.
no.
It's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this is
not
my
like an
favorite.
LOL. It's like maybe when you breathe a bit harder through your nose. Like that's what I did.
Yeah.
To me, the logic kind of worked in a fucked up way. Like I didn't think it was an illogical point. I was like, fair. Like that kind of is what they're saying, and how stupid is that? So
Yeah.
in a way, I found it slightly smart.
I hope you
All
like
right.
it.
Here's an ad. We'll see you after these few messages.
Because it takes two to tango.
Because she likes a man in touch with his feminine side.
Because you'd do anything to please her.
Because it'll give you the best night of your life. Abortion, the new fragrance for men.
Moving on. So that was like a weak joke, we'll call it. A weak joke. And I think that we have a solid joke in our next comic, Mark Normand.
I told an abortion joke recently, and a woman approached me. She was like, hey, that's very insensitive. I've had an abortion. You shouldn't tell jokes like that. I was like, whoa, hey, sorry. I just told a joke. I think what you did was much worse. But, you know, either way, I'll see you at home later, honey. And again, all jokes. I love abortions. I paid for 2 last week. I'm a fan, right? You remember? Come on. It's all jokes. A friend of mine, she works at Planned Parenthood. She loves that joke. And I was like, I might have to get rid of it. People don't like it. She's like, no, you got to keep it. I was like, I might get rid of it. She's like, no, you got to keep it. I was like, I might get rid of it. She's like, no, you got to keep it. I was like, I might get rid of it. I was like, don't tell me to do with my body of work. She's like, every joke's a miracle.
I like it. I don't know if anti-choicers would like it. Although the end is kind of like,
I think that's the
somebody
best
from
part.
Planned Parenthood is saying what does he say? Every joke's a miracle. So that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best part.
Has
The
something
back
for
and forth.
everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, it
Yeah.
does.
It covers
Because
it all.
in the
it's a
first
stellar
bit,
joke.
it's one. I do too. I think it's both sides of the aisle, right? Like the first
Yeah.
part is, I think you did this worse, but see you at home, honey. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
funny. And then that's one angle, and then you have the opposite angle. And the Planned
It makes
Parenthood,
it apolitical
right?
by
Mhm.
covering both sides.
But I do feel like I have to say, at the end of the day, I don't think that one should need to appease
Both.
the other side of the aisle. So it's really hard for me to talk about this, because it's like when we hear the like things of like, you know, it being apolitical or whatever, I'm like, but it's
You want it
not
to be.
like,
Right.
it's
It
like
is inherently political.
it's just my
so we
body,
cannot-
like
right.
Yes.
like it's just mine, you can't have it, like, so it's, I don't know, it's hard for me to like say that the reason that I liked this joke is because at the end of the day it's
It feels-
pro-choice,
Yes.
you know, like at the end of at its crux it is a pro-choice joke. So it's like, I don't know that I could find a joke funny if it wasn't pro-choice.
I feel like
That's
I
what I'm
haven't
viewing as the
seen
challenge
any.
of this episode
Yes,
today,
yes.
because it's easy to find the other side funny.
Yeah.
I want something that's like against my own moral compass in the same way that we've been doing in the other episodes, like
Mhm,
seeing if we
mhm.
can make that work.
Yeah.
I think he does a good job of that. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, you're totally right, Jamie. Like, it is hard to say something's apolitical as a compliment, because it is like inherently, hell yeah, it's inherently political, right? Like, there's no way for abortion to not be like a contentious word that comes up and something that you want to fight for, because it is like, you know, I mean, not to get on my soapbox here, but like, there's,
on
you
it.
know, if you're gonna do comedy, it's like, I get it. Comedians are not like the last line of defense for our human rights and whatever, right? But like, they shouldn't be setting them back either.
I mean, the
Yeah.
first
It's
line.
just
They're
like-
not the first line.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes. But I feel like he does a good job where he does this kind of like bait and switch thing at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
where he hits you with the like, what you did was worse. And there was a moment the first time, like when watching that, where I'm like, oh wait, where's this about
Yeah.
to go?
Right.
And then he hits you with the honey, and you're like, oh, that's hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really
That's-
smart. It's a really
Yeah.
well-written joke.
Yeah.
totally. And yeah, totally. Go ahead.
He
sorry,
kind of
Evan.
ensures that no one can get mad at him. I feel like he's like one step ahead of us every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that is, I think the best part of it is that he is one step ahead. Every time you think you know where the joke is going, he takes it in a new way.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yes.
his thing. Is
Right.
he's really just so fast. The jokes
Yes.
come so fast, and they're in polar opposites of each other oftentimes. I think that what he does is there's a great article, and I can't find it right now, but there's a great article about listening to the best arguments against abortion in order to win the argument on abortion. And I
Yeah.
think this joke does that incredible. He empathizes with the other side, yet it's pretty clear where he
Yeah.
stands. It's a
Yeah.
really well written joke.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think that's the challenge for us. And what I was trying to think when I was brainstorming for this episode is, how can you write something that leads down, like really tries to identify with the train of logic of the opposite side, so that you can bait and switch it, like Mahek said.
Mhm,
And it's really hard, but he does it really well. He does it really, really
Mhm.
well. Yeah.
It is really hard.
Well, I think the hardest part for us as a group is going to be being empathetic to the anti-choice. How do you bring empathy for the person for the other side of this argument into this
Yeah.
joke?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's really hard.
Mhm.
Me
And what would
thinking
the
about
baby
Din, 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 din,
Din,
din, din, din, din.
be nice to a anti-choicer. No.
Yeah, could we edit in a shattering scream that everyone
Could you,
will?
yeah, could you edit in like the thing where like you can still hear the scream, and then you zoom out and it's the globe and you can still hear the scream? That's what I want.
But it gets louder and louder and louder,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
hurts the listener.
All right. Well, I think that was like a really solid joke. I mean, I think if I was to put rules in place for how we could write a similar joke.
I think maybe what we need to explore about rules in this topic, since it is such a spectrum of gray, is do we have any definite don'ts, or is everything okay and on the table if you can get the gotcha? You know, maybe we should start there. Like, what things
That's a
are
good
like we
point.
definitely cannot do?
Do you think there is a definite cannot do? Like, do you have one in mind or no?
Off the top of my head, no. That's why I'm like, oh, this is tricky because I don't know how to structure rules.
So I think if I was gonna come up with a hard no, I would say avoid just shock value, especially with a topic like this. Also because it's such a personal thing to a lot of people, like regardless of, you know, whether you've had one or not.
And maybe we can stay away from the actual medical procedure.
Yeah.
And just call that we don't
I don't
need to
see a
talk
need
about
to
that.
get into that.
Doesn't seem funny to me either.
Right.
Like, ha ha ha.
Thanks.
Ha ha ha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, in
So
any
we have
other
some
context,
don'ts.
like gore is never really a punchline.
It doesn't
Yeah.
age well ever.
Doesn't,
ever.
no.
Shock value never ages well. It's only just to get like whatever you need right then, and then
Right.
it will age poorly.
It always
Guaranteed.
does. Yeah.
I also think a good thing to stay away from is the idea, because both of the comics we just saw were two white guys.
Mhm.
And I think that a big thing that I guess both of them did, which I will commend both of them for, is that like, you know, not to speak on behalf of women or like anyone that would have an experience like
Anyone
going
with a uterus.
through. Yeah, exactly. Unless that is genuinely central to your bit, like at the core of your bit is that you're speaking on behalf of women in an absurdist way.
Yeah.
Like if that has nothing to do with the like core of the joke, then don't do it.
Right.
And like remember kind of who you are in the grand scheme of what you're joking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Mehek. I hadn't even thought of that, but you're right that they're not talking about the actual uterus. They're talking about their position in this topic. Boom, boom, bang, boom, bam. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Totally.
This is the first episode where I feel like know where you stand on the topic doesn't really work because regardless of where you stand, you can tell a joke about it, whether or not somebody thinks it's funny.
Why is that, do you think, with this topic versus other topics?
I think we haven't decided as a collective where we stand on abortion, right? Like pedophilia. No, that's a strong, hard no from everybody. But abortion is like, we're back and forth as a community. We can't, there's not as much of a black and white here. Racism, bad.
But but racism, obviously we all find it bad in the same way that we're all pro-choice, but then there are obviously racists in the world and there are pro-lifers in the world. Do you know what I mean? So it's just an interesting.
But it doesn't feel like an act of violence against an individual or
like a marginalized
people. Yeah. I don't know, but it is hard though, because again, it harkens back to this is the second time I've said that today. I don't know why. Hark flying through the park. Anyway, I think that I still have a hard time with it though, because my brain is just triggered by anything anti-choice that I'm like can't like
tunnel
vision. So it is hard to not know where you stand. Like, how do you do that? I don't know.
Well, that's Evan, what makes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Mehek.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I feel like I'm always saying that, but that's what makes like classic Simpsons so good. Is that I feel like in those first couple seasons, like they're such a shining example of like taking a social issue or something that's really divisive or something that's like, you know, maybe like, oh, should we joke about this, and incorporating it into an episode structure where it's not just funny because we got it right on that side of the aisle. It's funny because it ages really well because like they talk about the whole world of it. They'll talk about all of the things that are funny about it, because there's funny stuff in sad stuff and funny stuff in really like angering stuff.
Right.
And they find those gems, and then they can just pivot on those. And I feel like that's the key here, especially with abortion, is to take something like that and present the absurd world of it.
I also may just be stunted in my own bias, but I also don't see a lot of nuance in this argument. Like the argument never changes, where I feel like conversations about rape or about transgender people. Like those conversations have evolved. There's more nuance. There are more discussions happening. There are more points being brought up. This, I feel like, is stunted for the past 50 years. It's the same conversation over and over. And how do you
moving
actually really
backwards?
Right.
Too.
So how do you find a new way to tell this joke and be funny when there's not really a new perspective coming into the conversation?
Yeah, because what would it be?
This is the challenge, especially with like a stand-up format or something where it's you presenting the joke, because you don't have the veil of a character or like a world building, like anything that you've like put in the work for to get away with certain things, like that Pierce Hawthorne effect, or you know what I mean? Like you don't have that out there, so you kind of have to, you're more vulnerable. So you have to get creative. It's gonna be hard. I don't know.
Oh, I'm excited.
This is typically something that a comedian would write a whole big bit around. Like it would be in an hour, it would be a section.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah.
So I do think you want to try to aim like I think the ambition has to be like you're going to tell an abortion joke no one's ever heard before because it's hard. But
it's hard.
Maybe you can solve the debate with this joke, and maybe that's the joke.
What if our podcast single-handedly overturns the recent SCOTUS decision?
We're gonna solve the abortion debate with this joke.
We're bringing back Roe with this joke.
We're the new SCOTUS. Could you imagine if they added us?
Importantly, can you bring the two sides together?
But we all collectively we have one vote. Like they add us to SCOTUS. Add us to SCOTUS, but we are one. We are collective.
We are one. Yes. Yes.
We are one. Kumbaya.
You have to stand on each other's shoulders in a trench coat with a hat.
Perfect. I've already wanted to do that with them.
Okay.
I want to be right on
the
top
middle
of Sarah.
part. I'm gonna be the
Elena,
part
you're
that
on top.
I was gonna say I'm the
Elena's on
top. Clearly.
Jesse, there's a classic image of that.
Elena has
that you can
top
find.
energy for sure.
I just want to be on top of Sarah. I mean,
this is my cue to leave, right? This is a part of the show where I leave.
Yeah, we're gonna have an orgy. Joke? If you could just see yourself.
All right, I'm definitely.
Exit stage left.
Screw
right.
A little rewind.
Welcome to the writers' room.
Oh yeah, perfect. We got him out, so we're in the writers' room now.
Yeah, that was the whole point of that.
That was good timing.
I didn't actually mean we were having an orgy. What?
Wait,
what? Wait, what? Sorry, is this?
I thought that was next week. That's
next week.
The orgy episode.
Yeah, that's not an episode. That's just at my house next week. So welcome to the writers' room. I think we have like some rules and we've seen some examples, and I guess I am still a little bit stumped as to how we are going to write a bait and switch joke for this. But we do have some prompts, maybe.
Okay,
perhaps
let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think the Supreme Court is a good butt of a joke for something or other, even if it's like just about the flip-flopping. Like it's funny how you can just like change. I don't know, it is at its core, regardless of where you stand, just kind of wild that you can reverse a law that is telling people it's okay to do something with their body, like their own bodies. Like it is just a wild thing to me, regardless of what you think.
When are we getting government forced vaccinations? I mean, come on now.
Right.
We're going to be,
that could be an in for a joke.
Yeah, come on now.
This could definitely be an in, though.
Bring in the jabs.
Merging, but like merging the two sides, being like, hey, I don't want or like the whole idea, right? That they're like but like, you know, a lot of conservative people do not want government intervention in their lives. They like very much so want to retain their agency. They don't want the government taking my guns away.
Next episode.
And so period. But so you can have that in of like, I'm with you. Yeah, they shouldn't take my guns away. They shouldn't and they shouldn't tell me if I can or cannot get an abortion. Am I right?
Yes. Crickets.
Am I, you know what I mean? Or a bit there of like bringing the people in.
Yeah.
So that's a way to be like, not wanting government, keep your hands off my guns and keep your hands off my never mind, I was about to say dead baby, said it anyway. Whatever.
The thing is, the defense of that I always hear too, like, because that's a go-to point, right? The fallacies in the logic, the hypocrisy of wanting like freedom with no hold back, but except for when it comes to what people with uteruses can do with their bodies. Except for that.
So then, but then what would they say?
But
like, we need to think like that. What would they say?
So that's what I'm going to say is like, they always in retaliation say, well, but like, it's about killing people. Like you would never let people just murder each other in the streets. And then you of course bring up the like gun argument. And then they're like, right, but like
mental health. That person was
mental
just
health.
a bad
and then
egg.
you're like, great. So it's like a roundabout thing. My thing is, what if we focused in on the fact that they think it's murdering babies, right? Like they think we're murdering children. And my thought goes to, if I was and you see all these like anti-abortion people protesting out of in front of abortion clinics. And in my head, I'm like, if I truly thought that somebody walking in that building was about to murder a child, like kill a baby, wouldn't you do everything in your power to stop them? Wouldn't you be body blocking them? Wouldn't you be tackling them to the ground, like making citizens arrests? Like if I knew for a fact that like a person who looked smaller than me and I could physically take on was about to kill a child, like wouldn't you do something more than just hold a sign? Like that's what I don't get about the logic of like thinking that abortion is murder, because
I don't want to rowdy them up like that though. Or then they start like hurting me.
Yeah, it's been this long
violence.
Though. I mean, I
But
guess
I had an idea.
People
that is
have
the
burnt
same
down
vein.
abortion clinics, so
The same vein of what you're saying though, in that the argument for like, I've heard it so many freaking times the last couple of weeks, unfortunately, because a lot of tragedies have been happening. Where you say, oh, well, how do we fix it? And they go, more guns. We need more guns. So if you have, and that's a real thing, right? That they say. So
gun violence equals more guns.
You say more guns, more abortions.
Abortions.
That'll
More
do it.
abortions. Yeah. More abortions.
If that's the joke, to be like, okay, if we need to keep babies. Okay, so then maybe if more guns is going to help, maybe we should do more abortions. Maybe we should all get abortions. Everyone get an abortion now. If there's like a frenzied nature of like problem solving there.
Yeah. I do like that. The idea
that train of logic.
That's
you're just like everyone get an abortion.
What if conservatives get to keep AR-15s if people get to have the equivalent for abortions? A machine that can fire off 100 abortions in less than a minute.
I like that. We should use that.
Funny.
That is
pretty
really
funny.
All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we bring Evan back?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Evan!
What?
God.
Ew. God. I hate when you do that.
So disturbing.
Right in my ear.
Also,
me sick.
Just weird.
Show yourself.
Also, like the lighting right now. It's just like
heavenly.
Angelic.
Well, Evan, we've got some jokes for you.
Yeah, we have some options.
We worked hard.
I know Mehex is blue because she made a point of pointing that out.
I didn't mean to do it. I didn't.
Evan, just read the joke. We have
this country has a lot of problems. For example, gun violence is a real problem in this country. You know, abortions, healthcare, literally everything. The government's not doing anything about it. I think we all can agree that the government's doing anything about it. So I think it's time we figure it out for ourselves. We have to learn to compromise, you guys. And I'm happy to take that first step for us. With guns, a lot of people say, you know, more guns. That's the solution. How do you stop a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun. Keep schools safe, arm everybody. Give the guns out like report cards, baby. School nurse, gun. Lunch aide, gun. Teachers who's definitely not qualified to use a gun, gun. You know what? If that's what people think, if that's what the majority of Americans think, fine. All right. More guns. I'll concede. I'll give you that one. But now let's find a compromise and see how it goes the other way. In fact, in the spirit of camaraderie, I say we all do the same thing about abortions, right? Too many abortions for you? Well, then crank it up. More abortions for everyone. Abortions for women, men, the elderly, you name it. You get an abortion. You get an abortion. You get an abortion. Abort, you got nothing left. Good work, everybody. I think we did it. America's fixed.
Solid.
And I think you can actually let's get the AR-15 equivalent of abortions, a gun that shoots 100 abortions at a time. Although I think it is pretty tight as it is.
Yeah.
Thick.
Machine gun. You could actually just start with a machine gun. You know, I don't think you need the rest of it.
A machine that can fire off 100 abortions.
A machine
Less
that can
than a
fire.
minute.
I
That's so
actually could say a
funny.
machine
'Cause
gun
then you're-
that can fire off 100 abortions.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being something you point
So
at
rattling
someone.
Yes.
one of those big old
Like a
style,
shrink ray. It's like a
old-timey-
shrink ray.
Yes.
It's just an abortion ray.
Abort.
Abort. You can just point it at people's stomach. Abort.
That's so
I love
funny.
it. And if this was in a like stand up, you could actually act it out. I don't know.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz would create that.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah,
I don't even
2022.
know who Dr.
Doofenshmirtz.
Doofenshmirtz is, and that makes me laugh. Who is that?
It's a character
Phineas
from
and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb.
Hmm.
I think
I do think we accomplished what we set into, which is
I think so too.
we saw it from both sides.
that was really fun, guys. I feel like we accomplished a lot here today. And maybe, maybe the Supreme Court justices will hear this and solve the world's issues. So if you think we did a successful abortion joke here in this podcast, please write in and let us know. And if you think that you can do a better one, then we would love to see it and judge you. So contact us at Instagram at cancelculture_pod. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and anywhere else that you interact with other humans. So we look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, this has been Cancel Culture.
Cancel
Culture.
Podcast.